Hi everyone and welcome to episode 5 of the beta battle at Aston Villa with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So we've had a really tricky run of fixtures, the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Man City in the last 5 games or so. I'll let you know how we did with them. Today though, we play mid-table Leeds United. Can we get the 3 points? Let's find out. Welcome back to Aston Villa. We have been through a really tricky patch. I will fill you in on that in just a second. But if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for me. That would be fantastic. Come and join my United City community. Maybe click a like button on this particular episode if you're enjoying the beta series so far. That helps my series to grow and my channel to grow. Maybe even put a comment in the comments below. That interaction just helps the YouTube algorithm a little bit. So if you could do any of those things for me, I'd really appreciate it. But in terms of Villa, it's going pretty well. That big run of fixtures, if we go and have a look at the schedule immediately, you'll see that it was a tricky run. We were together last, you and I, for the Brighton match where we won 1-0. We've since played Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton, Man United, Man City. Other than Man United in the Cup, where we rotated the 11 because everybody needed a little bit of a rest, we actually did pretty well. We got a 1-0 loss against Chelsea, close match. We then drew with Arsenal away from home, which wasn't too bad, beat Everton 1-0. And rotating that 11 against Man United did us the world of good because we came back for the following match against Manchester City at home and we actually beat them 3-2. It was a pretty spectacular game, to be honest. You can see that they only got their second goal in the 89th minute. So we were 3-1 up for quite a period of that particular match. And actually, we played pretty well. So confidence has got to be high from that. The 3-6 against Man United, as I say, was a completely rotated 11. They played brilliantly, came in with all of their big guns, and they go through in the cup competition. It's not something I'm overly worried about. I'd have liked to have gone further, but ultimately, I think the league has got to be our priority, really. So we are focusing on that a little bit. And today, we get Leeds United sitting in 11th in the Premier League, so mid-table side. They're going to cause a few problems for us. They have got a couple of injuries. If we go and look at their team news here, you can see that Rafinha and Cleach are both out, and they're pretty key to them, I think. So that's not too bad. For our part, we haven't got too many issues just at the moment. We'll go and have a look at that in a second. But overall, the only thing that I'm really trying to find a way to do, and maybe you're struggling with this in your save possibly as well in the beta, is that I'm struggling to get a few goals. We're doing fairly well defensively. Offensively here and there, we're a little bit quiet. We've only got a goal difference of 10 compared to everybody else around us who is in the 20s. So you can see that we need to find a few more goals. Danny Ings, for his part, not really doing it as much as I'd like. And he gets rested today because of that. But let's go check out the rest of the team. So we do have a couple of minor issues. Aguilera and Ramsey are both out, and of course Trezeguet is still on his way back. But he is back just slightly training now, which is really positive. He's going to still be out for another couple of weeks, but he'd be worth having back in and around the squad. You can see that as a right and left-sided winger, he's got some talent there, so we could definitely use him as the seasons progress. So we'll keep an eye on him. But other than that, most people are all right. Matty Cash, a bit below par on his fitness. But of course, because we've got the fitness to Aguilera, we're still going to have to play him for one more match, basically. And then we'll give him a bit of a rest after that. And as I said, Ollie Watkins comes into the side, not because he's been spectacular, but if you look across the 3 strikers that we got, Ollie Watkins on a 6.72, Ings, who's played quite a lot of games, on a 6.79, and Liam Delap, who we got on loan from City, on a 6.78. None of them are really properly scoring a good amount of goals at the moment. So Watkins has been a little bit unhappy. So I have promised to give him a little bit of time. But he's also now decided that if somebody comes in for roughly what he's valued at, which is quite high, to be honest, at 56 million, if somebody comes in, then I've allowed him to leave. We'll see what happens in the January window. But if I could get 50 million for Ollie Watkins, I probably wouldn't turn it down, and we'd reinvest that into the squad potentially. But we'll see what happens with that, because the finances are not particularly fantastic just at the moment. No real major transfer budget or wriggle room in the wage budget either for the transfer window in January. But we'll see what we can do. But that's for another day. For today, it's all about Leeds, and so we are going in with a team of Martinez in goal, Cash at right back, Konsa and Mings in central defence, Target at left wing back, Louise, Ferguson and Sanson in central midfield, Traore on the right, Al Ghazi on the left, and Watkins up top, with a bench of, 9 in the Premier League, including the likes of Buendia, Bailey, who are slightly jaded, and Danny Ings waiting to make an impact, hopefully, if need be. But let's get into today's game and see what happens. So rather than go overboard and promise too many things in a really tricky game against somebody like Leeds United, I've gone with hands together and just said stick to the game plan. We'll get there if we remain patient and do our jobs, and we'll see what happens. We're at home, so that's got to help. We'll go through the tunnel, get the assistant to do that interview, and we'll even skip past the cutscenes at the beginning just to get into kickoff and see what we can do in this particular match. I am expecting a tricky game. Leeds United are going to be difficult to break down, you'd imagine. 4-3-3 for them. We've got our slightly weird asymmetric system coming in for us, and we'll see whether we can find some space to work in. But it's an early-ish, just on the 10-minute mark, an early highlight for Leeds United down the far side on their left-hand side. Daniel James cutting in, working the ball very nicely, but then it goes slightly astray, and David Luiz gets a little bit of a touch there to bring it back to us. But we go kind of early over the top, and it didn't quite work on that occasion. And ultimately it gives Leeds the ball back and they get a chance to rebuild an attack. The highlight is still going. It's a long highlight, this one. Is there going to be another chance for Leeds United to get it through, or are we going to nick the ball again and go off on another counter-attack? Let's see. We've got plenty behind the ball, working hard to try and ferry the players around a little bit, but that's a good ball over the top for Ayling, right to the byline. Really, really long cross, and they get it back in again from that far side. It was Daniel James with a header back across goal, and Shackleton with a really pretty spectacular overhead kick, almost a really high kick anyway, and they do go 1-up after 10 minutes. So it was a really deep corner cross in. It wasn't quite as hooked as I thought it was. It was just on the volley from Shackleton, but a good goal nonetheless. And we were undone by our own mistake a little bit by giving the ball away too early. Got to find a way to keep it a little bit better than that. You can see early doors, though, we have had a few shots at goal, which is encouraging. Our XG rating shows that they weren't particularly good shots, though. We have had a little bit more possession, though, so hopefully we can keep the ball a bit and try and find a way to shift the momentum into our favour just a little bit. It looks like Ollie Watkins has picked up an injury, so his chance to impress me might be coming to an early end, unfortunately for him. Can't really take too many chances, so after this highlight, we'll go and investigate that one. It might be a reprise for Danny Ings to come back into the side and see if he can actually consistently get the goals for me. He's got like 6 in 15 matches, something like that. It's not quite good enough, but we are 2-0 down now as well, which is a real headache. Just coming up to the half-hour point, a good worked move from them. Goal disallowed. They just moved too early on the offside for Daniel James, I would imagine. Here we go. You'll see it. Yeah, he just moved too early, which is disappointing from him because he's got the pace to burn to get past anybody, even if he held his run. So let's pause the game there and go and investigate Ollie Watkins a little bit and see what he's got going on. Potential thigh injury. Wants to carry on, but injury is affecting his performance. So we're going to have to take him out. So Ings, you're going back in. I expect something from you today. Let's shift him up into the poacher role. Just see if he can find a way to get on the end of something. In theory, he's head and shoulders above everybody else currently in our team. I mean, the likes of Leon Bailey, Buendia, McGinn are on the bench today because they're just a little bit below par fitness-wise. So they'd come and improve that a bit. But ultimately, Ings is the person that we should be getting a performance out of. and he has been a little bit inconsistent. So back in we go, 15 minutes to play this first half. Let's see if he can do the business for us at the top of the pitch. You can see early, half an hour in, the couple of defenders here, Ayling and Cocky at the back of the Leeds United defence, are really struggling with their fitness just at the moment. So ultimately, there is room for us in this second half, I think, to turn this game around a little bit. Considering that we're only one down rather than the two that we might have been, then I think we're doing all right just at the moment. Need a little bit of a shift up though. So what we're going to do is go back into the dressing room, take a bit of a deep breath and figure out what to do. So let's pump the fist. Let's try and rally the troops a little bit. Keep going. We can win if we work hard for the team. So we'll go and do that one. And then straight away when we come back in, we're going to do two things. We're going to up the mentality into, not very attacking, that was one too many, into attacking, and then go into the shouts and fire them up for this second half. See if we can put the pressure on what is maybe a tiring lead side. But again, another wayward pass in midfield gives the ball back to Leeds United, and that's not quite good enough. We should be doing better on the ball, it feels like, in controlling the game. Leeds United building up a good attack, and there's a really great shot, and you could feel it coming all the way through that sort of highlight. When they regain the possession there and come on the attack, they're going to get a decent strike at goal, and they did, and they do take it to 2-0. Really quite cross about giving the ball away in that central midfielder area. Feels like we're not quite concentrating enough today somehow. And we've got one or two issues here. Cash is obviously going to struggle in the second half. Our right fullback, he was already a little bit jaded in the first place. Let's see if we can get something from there. Konsa was on the header at the near post from the corner kick. That gives us one back. That's not too bad. We've still got plenty of time, but ultimately we need to perform better than we have been to get back into this game. So we are going to pause it again in just a couple of minutes. Hopefully that's not going to be too late and we're not 3-1 down, but we'll see. But we are going to pause it again in a minute and just check on Matty Cash at right back and see what we need to do with him. But here come Leeds again with a lot of space at the top of the box to pass the ball across the box. Can they get the cross in? Are we going to get an interception? We do. Can we get it out? We can't again. That's really not good enough. We're not playing through the lines enough somehow. We're not finding our own players at all well in these highlights, it seems. Can we get another tackle in and a bit of a counter-attack? There you go, Sanson, and he's got space in front of him. Lots of space in front of him. Keep driving forward. He's slowed down a lot, to be honest. I wanted him to drive into that area a little bit and then blast the shot at goal. And he kind of didn't quite manage it, and it was a bit tame in the end. 61 minutes, a little bit earlier than normal, but we are going to go and check on a couple of players because we are just looking a little bit jaded. We got Luiz struggling in that central midfield area. He's given the ball away a couple of times, and he's frustrated, in danger of being booked. And we've also got Matty Cash at the back, really struggling with his fitness as well. We've got no specific direct replacement for him. We can play Ashley Young there at a push, so we're going to have to do that. I don't really want to take Luiz off. I really want to find a way to impact the team higher up the pitch, if I'm totally honest. So I think we're going to take a little bit of a risk with him. And we're probably going to take one of the wide men off, and it has to be El Ghazi, really, on a 6.5. Not really doing it today. Had an opportunity while we rested Bailey a little bit. Didn't really take it. It's what I'm finding with this Villa setup is I think our first 11 is pretty decent. They can go and beat Man City, for example, in the last match. But the minute you rotate away from that, even part of it, it becomes a little bit unstuck. I think we'd take probably another couple of seasons with Villa to properly get a squad together that was really capable of interchanging with each other and moving forward. But this is what we got to work with. So Bailey will come in, Young will come in, a little bit of experience there and a little bit of energy and attack is a good thing. So we're already in the attacking mentality. I don't want to change the shape just at the moment. I don't feel there's any need for that in terms of, because we've already had to change our striker. We can't put two up top, for example. So there's not really much point in changing anything else. We're just going to have to go with what we've got. It's worked at other times. We've just got to see whether now, in the last 25 minutes or something, we can string a few passes together, create a few opportunities to get Danny Ings on the end of it and see what happens. But we don't necessarily need Danny Ings if somebody like Leon Bailey, who's just come onto the pitch, remember, gets on a header like that. At the far post, he still had quite a lot to do from quite a narrow angle, really. Ashley Young, the two substitutes combining brilliantly well, gets right the way to the byline, crosses right the way across, deep across the 6-yard box, and then from a really quite tight angle, Bailey does really well on the header, and we go back to 2-2. And here's a corner kick for Leeds. Can we clear it and counter-attack? There's the clearance. Ings is going to pick that up. Can he hold the possession for us and wait for some support? Bailey was there, almost lost it, but we regain it. A little bit fortunate there. Again, nearly lose it there. Leeds United, the way they played, put a lot of pressure on, and you can see that in the play there. We are just about keeping hold of it, though. We need a little bit of luck just to get through the lines. And again, it's Ashley Young drifting past a couple of players right the way down to the end of the pitch, and then couldn't quite get the cross in, and they boot it clear. We're going to pick up the ball. Conser in our defensive area picks up the ball, gets it down the wide right-hand side again. That seems to be where a lot of our joy is coming from at the moment. But we switch the play over to Leon Bailey on the left-hand side. Gets to the byline, drops it back to target, into the box. And that was a really, really good opportunity for Traore coming in off the right-hand wing. And he couldn't quite make the contact he was looking for, really. And we stay at 2-2 with Leeds United back on the ball and putting pressure back on our penalty box as they work it round. But there's a good interception by Traore. We work it through the centre point, and Bailey on the left-hand side is the outlet. We use him very well. Now there's a couple of guys storming into the box. In it goes, and it's Ings, and he puts a real good header at the goal, but it just hits the frame of the goal, unfortunately, and goes wide. And we again just miss one of our opportunities, unfortunately. And they're going to be few and far between now because we've only got about 6 or 7 minutes left. We've missed a couple of really key chances there, unfortunately. Leeds United causing us a few issues and really trying to hold firm in what they've got at the moment. It looks like we're going to come away with a draw. Now, that's not too bad, considering that we were down in the game at least 1 or 2 times. Yeah. There you go. That gives us a 2-2 draw. You can see where we were doing all right. And again, it's the same story. It's been the same story all the way through. Bailey's worked well. Our central midfield has done okay. Right-hand side Traore worked. The 2 substitutes came in and did pretty good stuff. Mings and Conser at the back did pretty well. It's Sanson, Ings, that kind of area where we're not quite getting the performances out of this team, unfortunately. Something for me to think about as we move forward into January. But for now, we're going to have to be happy-ish with a 2-2 draw. So, having given him a bit of a chance, Ollie Watkins is out for a couple of days with his injury, tight hamstring, unfortunately. But it did scupper a chance that he had in the first team. But there we go, that's just the breaks sometimes. Let's get into the schedule and figure out what's coming up next. That performance has still left us in 4th position in the Premier League. So we're doing all right still. I'm happy with that sort of positioning, but could have done a little bit better in front of goal today, couldn't we? So what have we got coming up? Well, we've got the January transfer window coming up, basically. And I'm going to head through that myself. And we'll come back and play whatever this first match is. It's against Southampton in February. And at that point, I'll be able to update you on everything that's gone on. We've got our first FA Cup round to play against Bournemouth. That's a reasonable tie for us. Should be okay to get through that one. In the league itself, we've got West Ham, Watford, Burnley, Wolves. There's some winnable fixtures in there, some tricky ones as well. They're all going to be hard games, but you'd imagine that we'd pick up, what, maybe 7 to 9 points out of those 4 matches. So let's see if we can do that. That would be fantastic before coming back against Southampton in the next episode. Then here we go on a really tricky run again. Liverpool, Tottenham, Man United in there. And then late on, we've got a really difficult run-in. Chelsea, Everton, Arsenal, Man City. So we're going to get to that sooner or later, but that's a tricky run-in. But for now, we focus on what's coming up. Some winnable fixtures in January, an opportunity maybe to freshen the squad if the right deals happen for us. And we'll be back in the next episode for Southampton. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to click a like button for me. That helps me get seen by lots of other people. Also, put a comment in the comments below. That helps the algorithms as well. Don't forget to check out all of the links in the description below to all my social medias, things like Twitter and Discord, etc. Until next time, though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.